The rain was merciless that night, slicing through the city's silence like grief through an open wound. Somewhere on a dimly lit street, a woman stood soaked to her bones, clutching a worn leather bag that held all she had left in the world. Her name was Maya. Her trembling hands tried to shield herself from the cold, but the storm wasn't her worst battle, it was life itself. Moments earlier, she had been fired from her job, evicted from her apartment, and left with nowhere to go. She had lost everything, except her kindness. And that very kindness, years ago, had once saved a man she barely remembered, a man who would soon return into her life in a way that would change everything. Sparkles, before we continue this emotional journey, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Lights of Heat if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of love that finds us when we least expect it. Sparkles. Years earlier, on another rainy evening, Maya had stopped her old, rusty car to help a stranger who had been in a terrible accident. The man had been trapped, bleeding, half-conscious, and surrounded by flames licking at the broken metal. Everyone else had just driven past, afraid, unwilling to stop, but Maya couldn't. Her instincts had screamed at her to act. She had risked her life to pull him out, covering his wounds with her scarf, whispering to him to stay awake until help arrived. She had held his hand as he drifted in and out of consciousness, promising that he wouldn't die alone. She never even learned his name. Now, years later, she walked through the city with tired eyes and empty pockets, unaware that the man she once saved had become one of the most powerful CEOs in the country, Adrian Wolf, founder of a global tech empire, a man known for his brilliance and cold precision, yet haunted by the ghost of a woman he could never forget. For years, he had searched for her, the woman who saved his life when he had given up on his own. He had never known her name, only remembered her trembling voice saying, "You're going to be okay. Just hold on." Those words had stayed with him, pulling him back from despair every time life tried to drag him under. Maya's world kept crumbling. She worked tirelessly in small jobs that paid too little and demanded too much. She slept on park benches some nights, surviving on stale bread and hope. She carried pain quietly, never asking for pity, believing that kindness was its own reward. And one cold morning, her quiet resilience led her to the doors of Wolf Industries, where she had applied for a janitorial position. She stood in the lobby, nervous, clutching her file like it was her last lifeline. The marble floors, the glass walls, the sound of clicking heels, it all felt like another world. She didn't belong here. But destiny had its own plans. That same morning, Adrian Wolf was walking through the lobby, his usual expression unreadable, his presence commanding every glance. He had just left a tense board meeting and was consumed with thoughts of his son, Ethan, a fragile 7-year-old who hadn't spoken since his mother's death 3 years ago. Adrian had built empires but couldn't rebuild his little boy's broken heart. And then, across the lobby, he saw her. Something in him froze. It was the eyes, the same gentle, steady eyes he had seen in the firelight years ago. He couldn't breathe. The world seemed to stop moving. Maya didn't recognize him at first. He was no longer the bleeding, broken man she'd rescued, he was confident, immaculately dressed, a vision of power. But when he approached her, something in his voice, something in his gaze, made her heart tremble with a strange familiarity. When he asked her name, she spoke it softly, unaware that it was the very name he had been searching for since the night she saved his life. He didn't reveal who he was right away. Instead, he offered her a job, not as a janitor, but as his personal assistant, saying her interview had impressed him. Maya didn't understand why someone like him would hire someone like her, but she accepted gratefully. It was the beginning of something neither of them had expected. Days turned into weeks, and she became a quiet, calming presence in his office and his home. She helped with his son, prepared small meals, fixed things no one else noticed, and spoke to the boy with gentle patience. Slowly, Ethan began to open up, first with shy smiles, then small words. Adrian watched, stunned, as his son started laughing again for the first time in years. And every time he looked at Maya, gratitude filled him so deeply it scared him. One evening, when Ethan fell asleep on Maya's lap after a long day, Adrian stood by the door and whispered, "You saved me once." His voice was low, almost breaking. "Now it's my turn to protect you." It was then she remembered, the car crash, the fire, the man she had pulled from the wreck. Tears filled her eyes as everything came rushing back. The man she had saved was standing before her, whole, alive, and offering her safety when she had none. But Maya was hesitant. She had always believed she didn't deserve anything good. Her life had been one long struggle, and happiness felt like something she wasn't meant to touch. Yet Adrian saw what she couldn't, the strength in her kindness, the courage behind her quiet smile, the beauty of her heart that had once saved him from himself. He helped her find stability, a home, and eventually, purpose. Under his guidance, she went back to school, learned new skills, and became the head of a foundation for underprivileged women, an idea she had dreamed of but never believed she could achieve. Together, they built something that went beyond business. It was redemption, shared healing. Still, life wasn't without storms. When a rival company tried to destroy Adrian's reputation with lies, Maya stood by him, defending him when others doubted. And when her past resurfaced, debts, betrayals, and a cruel world that had once discarded her, Adrian shielded her, reminding her that she wasn't alone anymore. As months turned into a year, their connection deepened into something neither dared to name. It wasn't built on grand gestures but quiet moments, coffee shared at dawn, laughter over simple meals, the way he looked at her when she wasn't watching, the way she touched his son's hair with motherly love. It was a love born from gratitude, but nurtured by truth. And one evening, standing on the same rain-drenched street where their fates had first collided, Adrian looked at her and said, "You gave me life when I had lost mine. You showed my son what love feels like. You saved me once, Maya, and I will spend the rest of my life protecting you." Maya's tears mixed with the rain as she smiled through them, realizing that sometimes life brings us back to where it all began, not to remind us of what we lost, but to show us how far we've come. Sparkles, if this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Lights of Heat. Leave a comment telling us what you believe about second chances, love, and the unseen kindness that changes lives forever. Sparkles. Speech balloon special request, comment below, "I believe in second chances." To show that kindness and love still matter in this world. Sparkling heart.